Donald J. Trump. Warning to Ursula von der Leyen. Ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking to you today to address the relationship between the United States and the European Union. For many decades, our countries have been partners, allies, and friends. We share values, history, and interests. Yet there are times when words alone are not enough, and we are compelled to send clear messages, messages that demand understanding, respect, and reciprocity. President Ursula von der Leyen, I address this speech directly to you. The United States has invested in the transatlantic partnership for many years, economically, diplomatically, and in terms of security. We have built trade relationships, supported infrastructure, promoted technological cooperation, and strengthened the defense capabilities of our alliance. Partnership, however, relies on reciprocity. Fairness requires that both sides benefit equally and that no one seeks one-sided advantages at the expense of the other. In recent years, we have observed certain trade practices, market barriers, and subsidy policies that disadvantage American companies and workers. Such imbalances threaten not only our economy, but also the trust and stability that sustain our transatlantic relationship. Let me be clear, this is not an attack, not an ultimatum, and not a threat. It is a clear warning that the United States is prepared to defend its interests decisively, but always within the bounds of law and international agreements. We continue to seek cooperation, but cooperation requires realism, transparency, and accountability. On trade and economics, the United States expects the European Union to ensure a level playing field. It is unacceptable for American companies to be disadvantaged by tariffs, regulatory hurdles, or opaque subsidies. Fair rules for trade, investment, and services are the foundation of any functioning partnership. We have invested and waited long enough. American companies have brought capital, technology, and innovation. Our workforce has shown dedication, skill, and creativity. It is now time to see how the EU applies the principles of reciprocity. We expect concrete proposals for equal market access, transparent regulations, and clear investment conditions. Moreover, we have observed that certain sectors in Europe continue to favor domestic production through indirect policies that distort competition. While every nation has the right to support its industries, it must not do so at the expense of its closest allies. These practices not only undermine American businesses, but also reduce trust and threaten long-term cooperation. On industrial policy, industrial cooperation between the US and Europe is of central importance. We have exported American products and technologies, created jobs, and transferred expertise. Yet, if European industrial policies distort competition, we will be forced to consider economic measures to protect our jobs and companies. This is not about confrontation. It is about balance. It is about ensuring that the same rules apply to all. We are ready to collaborate, harmonize standards, and develop joint projects that benefit both sides. But such cooperation must be grounded in fairness and accountability. We also recognize the potential for joint initiatives in advanced manufacturing, green technologies, and digital industries. These sectors could create thousands of jobs, strengthen innovation, and increase competitiveness on the global stage, but only if we operate under equal and predictable conditions. Anything less undermines these possibilities and weakens our collective potential. On technology and semiconductors, data infrastructure, and critical technologies are today essential not only economically, but also strategically. The United States possesses leading technologies, production capacities, and expertise. We expect the European Union to handle these important areas on the basis of cooperation, not protectionist measures. We are open to joint research projects, technology exchange, and investment initiatives. However, we demand respect for intellectual property, fair competition, and minimal political interference. The goal is to foster innovation while maintaining industrial capacity, for the security and prosperity of both sides. Furthermore, the global race in artificial intelligence, 5G networks, and cybersecurity demands that allies work together efficiently. Disruptions caused by restrictive regulations or preferential policies can weaken the transatlantic position in these critical areas. Europe must ensure that policies encourage, rather than obstruct, collaboration with trusted partners. On energy issues, Europe faces the challenge of balancing energy security with climate goals. The United States has developed significant capacity in energy production, oil and gas, as well as renewable technologies. We are willing to share these capacities with Europe under conditions that are fair, transparent, and market-based. I urge the European Commission to create frameworks that do not obstruct U.S. energy exports, but enable fair competition. Only in this way can we jointly ensure stable energy markets and secure supply. At the same time, we should collaborate to promote innovation in clean technologies and develop long-term solutions for climate challenges. It is critical that Europe diversifies its energy sources while maintaining open access to international markets. Limiting supply, favoring certain domestic providers, or obstructing competition may provide short-term political benefits, but endangers long-term security and affordability. The United States is ready to contribute responsibly, but Europe must act in a way that supports mutual benefit. On security, the transatlantic partnership is more than economics. It is strategic. The United States is ready to contribute to European security, deploy forces, and jointly address threats. But strategic cooperation depends on economic and industrial resilience. If critical industries are weakened or supply chains become unreliable, our collective ability to respond to security challenges is compromised. We must ensure that Europe and the US cooperate in sensitive sectors, adhere to standards, and protect strategic technologies. This is not an attempt to exert control. It is a matter of responsibility for our citizens, our companies, and our shared security. Security also extends to technological sovereignty and cyber defense. We must ensure our networks, critical infrastructures, and defense industries remain resilient and interoperable. Failure to address these issues in partnership could leave gaps that adversaries may exploit, which we cannot allow. On the need for concrete proposals, Madam President, the United States expects clear and verifiable proposals from the EU in the coming weeks. Vague commitments or symbolic gestures will not suffice. We require market access, detailed measures ensuring equal opportunities for American companies, investment protection, mechanisms that make investments secure, predictable, and long-term, subsidy oversight, transparency on government support to prevent market distortions, cooperation on critical technologies, rules that protect innovation, intellectual property, and fair competition. These points are not demands. They are necessary conditions for continuing our partnership on equal footing. Why this matters? Transatlantic relations work only if both sides are willing to take responsibility and abide by rules. We are ready to expand cooperation, promote investment, and grow together. But we will not allow fairness and balance to be sacrificed. If the EU fails to take its responsibility seriously, we will be compelled to take measures to protect our economic interests. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. The United States values Europe. We value cooperation, partnership, and friendship. But we also value our own interests, our companies, and our workforce. Partnership requires reciprocity, transparency, and accountability. Madam President, this is your opportunity to demonstrate that the transatlantic partnership is grounded in principle and fairness. Seize it. The United States is ready to act constructively, cooperatively, and responsibly. But we will not hesitate to defend our interests if necessary. We are at a decisive moment. The decisions we make today will shape the future of our cooperation, our security, and our prosperity. We must collectively ensure that trade is fair, industries are resilient, energy is secure, and technologies are safeguarded. These are not theoretical goals. They are practical necessities for both sides of the Atlantic. I hope that Europe and the United States will continue to act together, strong, fair, and forward-looking. Let this moment mark a renewed commitment to partnership, accountability, and shared responsibility. Thank you.